Winter Velvet asked Reddit Teachers of Reddit, what parent-teacher meeting was the most memorable? Pigeon Goddess commented, I used to teach high school art. The administration had this idea to have an evening where we all set up tables and parents went through their kids' schedules and had a sort of speed dating parent-teacher conference set up. We had to bring packets of work for any kids that were failing to P-bottom to parents to give to their kids and could set up future meetings individually if needed. Being that I taught art, not a lot of kids were failing unless they just didn't go to seal bottom. So it was a mind-numbingly boring 4 hours for me as no one except a couple of sweet students stopped by to chat. The very last block of the evening, a mom and dad just drop into the folding chairs in front of my table. They both had arms full of makeup packets and they both just looked so defeated. The mom looked at me with tears in her eyes and just asked, what does my kid do wrong in your seal bottom? Quote, I was so surprised by her question because I honestly adored her son. He was one of my favorite students. He completed every project on time and had a great personality. He constantly had me and the rest of the seal bottom in stitches. He was always the first to volunteer to help me out with any setup or cleanup and went out of his way to say hello to me, even on days he didn't have my seal bottom. I took great joy in telling his parents how he was an absolute bright spot in my day and watch a little bit of the sadness fall from their shoulders before they left for the night. When the student came in the next day, he gave me a giant hug and told me thank you for saying all the nice things about him, Monsieur. I told him that I didn't say anything that wasn't true and that I hoped he treated every teacher the same way he treated me. He laughed a little and said he would work on it. When I checked his grades at the end of the semester, he was working hard to pull up all of his grades. By the end of the year, he P-bottomed nearly all of his seal bottomies. Zen Moonstone commented, I had a busy, well-known doctor bring in the nanny to the parent-teacher conference. Whenever I spoke directly to the mother, she would say to the nanny, are you getting all this because you are the one that needs to be paying attention? By the time I get home, I don't want to have to deal with any of this. Dream the Photo commented, my first year of teaching I had a mother who pretty much ignored everything I was saying and bottomed it was all bad. I opened with, hey, your daughter has shown some excellent work in seal bottom this semester. She replies with, I doubt that. She can't do anything. When I try and bottom her, she had in fact done well with proof. She dismissed it and said she will never be as good as her siblings. I then offered some advice for how to improve her already decent grade and the mother replies, that's it, I'll ground her for a month. From that point on, everything I said, she literally added another month onto her daughter's grounding time. I ended up just summing up as quick as possible to try and save the daughter spending the rest of her life grounded. Very Stonobridge commented, we have a half day where parents sign up for conferences and teachers hang around until 8 with a break. I was catching up on work in my seal bottom room and eating a sandwich during my break. And this mom comes in wearing some pink yoga pants and a big parka. She looks frazzled as hell and immediately starts going on about how she is sorry for her daughter and how she doesn't do anything at home and basically going on about how bad her kid is. And I'm just not saying anything, just listening. Then she starts going on about the curriculum, how it's inadequate, and so on. But it's nothing substantial or pointed. She's just bitching about her kid, and the school, and whatever else, more like I were some sort of therapist than her kid's teacher. She's going on about the math curriculum and my next conference shows up at their scheduled time. The lady goes, sorry, thank you for taking the time, and leaves. I didn't say a word the whole time. I have no idea who she was. I have no idea who her kid was. It was really bizarre. Let them eat it commented. When I was student teaching, my mentor teacher, older guy, and I did parent-teacher conferences together. We had a female student and her mom come in. This girl never played attention in seal bottom and just wanted to hang out and talk to friends. So we put her on the front row. Well, evidently she needed something to tell her mom why she was failing this seal bottom, and had told her mom that the teacher moved her to the front of the room so he could look down her shirt. So her mom comes in angry and yelling at the teacher that he's a pervert putting her daughter in the front row and sexually hard-bottoming her. My mentor teacher just calmly turned to me and said, "Have you noticed any of that behavior in this seal bottom? You've been the one teaching for the last 2 months." The mom and daughter went silent. They had forgot that I, another female adult in the room, could witness for my teacher. They quickly left after that, and I think the mom realized her daughter had been lying to her. I felt great being able to protect a fellow teacher from sexual hard-bottoming accusations. JJKKLLZZ commented, "I am not a teacher, but a parent, but I want to share this story. In 2015, my husband was shot and killed during what we presumed to be a carjacking. This happened toward the beginning of the year. I called the school to tell them 2 of my 3 kids wouldn't be at school for a week in order to take time off to grieve. My youngest was a baby, so they were very supportive, came to the funeral, brought food by my house and came to visit the kids. When the kids went back to school, they came back with tons of handmade sympathy cards that the teachers had their students make. They also provided therapy via the psychologist at the school. Anyway, the months are bottoming by and we're getting back to normal routine when in December I get a call saying they need to meet with me. The kids are getting good grades, so I am wondering if there is some kind of behavioral issues going on. When I got there though, they provided us with Christmas gifts that were collected from the teachers and students. I wasn't in a bad situation financially, but still the gesture meant a lot. So, not a teacher, but as a parent, that was my most memorable parent-teacher meeting." Neil Beast commented, "Had a meeting about a kid who wouldn't turn anything in ever. But of course, according to parent, definitely not the kid's fault. Teacher screwing the kid over. Never got the instructions. Best excuse. Someone broke into his locker and stole specific bottom-inments." The conversation basically devolved into something like this. Parent: "We don't appreciate you teachers, the school, or how you didn't take the locker break-in seriously." Me: "We looked into the situation. Camera footage confirms no break-in ever occurred on the date your student told us it happened." Parent: "Enraged, so you're telling me my child lied about this?" Me: "Yes." Parent: "Still enraged, well, how can you be so sure? People break into cars all the time." Me: "Sure, but usually there's also evidence like broken bottom or other damage to the car. Possible tools used in the break-in. Valuables missing. You get the idea." Eventually we moved on from that topic and by the end of the meeting accomplished exactly nothing. Butterbell commented, "I had a student who was a bit of a troublemaker. He liked to mess around a lot and it got to the point it was interfering with lessons. We have a meeting with his parents and all his teachers, normal at my school, just to see what was up and if there were any strategies the parents were using at home that could help us out. The entire time the dad just keeps asking us to confirm that there's something wrong with his child. No sir, he's just acting like a regular 12-year-old boy." Turns out the parents were in a messy divorce after dad was having an affair with a much younger lady. Cue all the acting out and positive attention-seeking asterisk from the kid. We signed him up for a bunch of sports and clubs to keep him at school longer and make some productive friends. Lala Sosa commented, "We expelled a kid who destroyed a seal bottom room and office totaling about $4,000 worth of damage. He bottom-alted 4 staff members who were trying to contain him without touching him. No one wants to lose their job over this kid. One of them required medical attention, and he threatened to accuse his teacher of sexual and physical abuse. During the meeting with his parents, we were told that all he needed from us was love." Cat Yogi commented, I'm sure there will be lots of awful stories here because those leave more lasting impressions. So I'll share a good one. Apologies for formatting. Mobile. I was meeting with a parent that spoke mostly Spanish. In US. My Spanish is weak. I can understand much more than I can speak. Turns out her English was about at the same level as my Spanish. I spoke in English with a little Spanish. She spoke in Spanish with a little English. When we couldn't get across an idea, we reverted to charades, or I grabbed paper and we drew things out. By the end, we were laughing so hard and leaning on each other. Thankfully her daughter was doing okay. Mom just wanted advice for how to keep supporting her. By far my favorite parent conference ever. EO11 commented, I recently had a meeting with parents to discuss the fact that their child is essentially mute, does not interact with his peers, and does not participate in Seal Bottom. The parents brought in gifts for me, which I will keep anonymous just in case. When I told them that I was concerned about their son, they repeatedly told me they have observed him at home and at church and he plays with the other kids. The Seal Bottom participation aspect was the only thing they cared about. It was so freaking weird. Shelly Sheld commented, called the parents because 8th grade student was bullying another student. Bullied student is confined to a wheelchair and I observed the bully throwing gum at him during Seal Bottom. Father comes in, but only speaks Spanish. Cape Verdean math teacher says he knows enough Spanish to translate. So we begin meeting with math teacher, myself, father of bully, and bully, father, something in Spanish. Math teacher, what he is saying is that he admires your P-bottomian, and bully interrupts, that's not what he's saying. He said you're a freaking liar. Quote, that's is when I noticed how pissed off dad looks. He angrily tells me something else before getting up, nearly flipping the table, and leaves. I asked the math teacher what he just said. He told me he didn't know. Fallow Deer commented, I taught an elective course in a large rural high school that charged a nominal fee for supplies. Mr. B, a parent, did not want to pay the fee and set up an after-school meeting to discuss it with me. I had just been bottom-minded and intern and thought it would be good for her to observe a parent-teacher conference. Mr. B walked into my Seal Bottom room, and without any introduction, asked loudly, you know what the problem with the world is today? Me, no sir. Mr. B, women want to live beyond their means, have gone into the workplace and become whores. Me, okay, meeting over, goodbye. Mr. B, later, his child confided in me that he had been beaten by his father and showed me the bruises. As required by law, I reported the incident to Child Services, who revealed me as the source. The meeting between us in the principal's office went like this. Mr. B, that boy ain't perfect, either. He hit his stepmother once. Me, where do you suppose he learned that behavior? Mr. B, principal then had to throw him out when he rose to strike me. On departing, addressing me, Mr. B stated, I've heard all about you. I am thinking, uh-oh, this could be anything. Mr. B, you're a strong woman and always get what you want. Okay, principal. Later, that's probably the best parent compliment you'll ever get. The son fled the state to live with his mother. He wrote me a thank you note years later. Mr. B's ex-wife went on to publish a book on spousal abuse. Creative Name 101 commented, throwaway just in case. The woman who refused to shake my hand and told me her son hates me and she, a grown woman, hates me too. She gave out that her son got, let's say, 70% on a test, and when I said he routinely refused to work in Seal Bottom and this grade would improve with more diligence, she demanded to know my Seal Bottom average, which I don't calculate and wouldn't give her anyway. She said that if he was about the average that he didn't need to do any more work. Contradicted herself about 4 different times in the meeting. All because her son got a note sent him at the beginning of the year for taking off his shoes and putting his feet up on the desk. Ginger Mao commented, not a bad one. Actually, I had a 7th grade student, Oscar, who I was warned about by other teachers when the year started. Doesn't take anything seriously, always goofing around, doesn't care, etc. Oscar was actually a ray of sunshine. Such a happy person, kind to everyone, and full of unbottom-ooming charisma. Honestly, I would love to be as happy as Oscar. He made the whole seal bottom fun for everyone once I embraced the best way to keep him involved in the material, English. I was really curious about meeting his mother because he didn't make good grades in most subjects, and she didn't seem to care. She turned out to be a friendly, charismatic and easygoing person who obviously had raised her kids to enjoy being alive and not worry too much about school. Before high school, college, at least, a bit of a hippie, but very alert, not space or flaky. I realized I was kinda jealous of how I imagined their home life to be and decided that when I had kids I would do my best to raise them like Oscar and his monsieur. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell.